You walk outside on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand. The sun is doing that perfect thing where it sits low and golden, and everything looks peaceful. You look at your garden, your lawn, your patio, and for one brief, beautiful moment, it all looks good. Then you see it. A dandelion, right there in the middle of your lawn, bold as anything, yellow head bobbing in the breeze like it owns the place. You look a little further. Another one. And over there near the fence, 3 more. Your patio has little green tufts pushing up between the slabs, a whole army of weeds that appeared, seemingly overnight, like they were never gone at all. Because here is the truth nobody wants to hear. They were never gone. They were waiting. You have probably pulled weeds before. Most of us have. You grab the stem, you pull hard, you feel that satisfying resistance, that pop as the plant comes loose, and you throw it on the pile and feel like you have accomplished something real. You might even do it for an hour, back aching, knees dirty, pile growing. You stand up, look at your lawn, and think, done. 2 weeks later, every single one of them is back. This is not bad luck. This is not because weeds in your neighborhood are particularly aggressive. This is not some mysterious force of nature you cannot control. This is because almost everything most people do when they fight weeds is exactly the wrong approach. And the plants, if we can be honest about it, are smarter than our strategy. Today, we are going to fix that, permanently. But here is something critical you need to understand before we go any further. Weeds on your lawn and weeds on your patio are 2 completely different problems. They look similar. They are both frustrating. They both come back. But the causes are different. The biology is different. And most importantly, the solutions are completely different. Use the wrong method in the wrong place, and you will make things significantly worse. We have seen it happen. We will show you exactly why. Let's start with your lawn, because this is where most people are making the biggest mistakes, and where the psychology of weeding completely betrays us. Why pulling weeds? By hand is making the problem worse. There is something deeply human about seeing a dandelion and wanting to grab it. It feels productive. It feels immediate. It feels like you are taking the problem into your own hands, literally. But here is what is actually happening beneath the surface while you are up there feeling good about yourself. A dandelion is not really the yellow flower you see above ground. The flower, the stem, the leaves, that is just the tip of the operation. Underneath the soil, a dandelion has what is called a taproot, a single, thick, fibrous root that drives straight down into the earth. And we are not talking about a few centimeters. A mature dandelion taproot can reach up to 30 centimeters deep into your soil. 30 centimeters. That is almost a foot of root, anchored into the ground, storing energy, storing nutrients, completely inaccessible to your fingers. When you grab that dandelion by the stem and pull, you get the stem. Maybe you get an inch or 2 of root if you are lucky, and the soil is soft. But 30 centimeters? You are not getting that. What you are leaving behind is a root system that is largely intact, already loaded with stored energy. And now, here is the part that really stings, stimulated by the damage you just did to it. That root does not die. It does not give up. Within days, sometimes within a week, it sends up new growth from exactly the same spot. In some species, if you snap the root partway down, the broken piece can actually generate an entirely new plant. You did not remove the weed, you pruned it, you gave it a haircut and walked away. Plantain, thistle, dock, all of these common lawn weeds work on the same principle. Deep taproots, massive underground energy reserves, and an almost contemptuous ability to regenerate from what you leave behind. So, what do you actually do? the tool that changes everything for lawn weeds. For individual weeds, the dandelions, the plantain, the thistle that appear as isolated plants in your lawn, the answer is a long-handled weed extractor, a root removal tool. This is not complicated technology. It is a long metal rod with a forked or pronged tip. You push it into the soil right beside the base of the weed, angled slightly toward the root. You push the handle down, using the tool as a lever, and you lift, pulling the root upward from below rather than tearing the plant from above. Done correctly, you pull out the entire taproot, all 30 centimeters of it. The soil closes behind it, the weed is gone, and there is nothing left to regenerate. This is the single most satisfying thing you can do in a garden. We are not joking. Pull out a full dandelion taproot intact. Sometimes it comes out in one long, perfect piece, and you will understand why some people find weeding genuinely enjoyable. It works perfectly on all taproot-based weeds. One tool, used correctly, gets the job done permanently for that individual plant. But here is where honesty matters. One tool is not enough when you are dealing with mass infestation. Clover spreading across an entire section of lawn, creeping buttercup taking over a border, ground ivy weaving through your grass like a network. When the problem is measured in square meters rather than individual plants, hand tools become impractical. You would be out there every weekend, and the weeds spread faster than you can extract them. This is when you need to understand selective herbicide, and more specifically, why most people use it wrong. Selective herbicide. The word selective is the whole point. Walk into any garden center and you will find shelves of weed killer. Bottles of every size, every price point, every brand. Most people grab the cheapest option, read the label just enough to know it kills weeds, and start spraying. Then they watch their lawn turn brown in patches. Then they wonder what went wrong. What went wrong is that they used a non-selective herbicide on a lawn. Non-selective means exactly what it sounds like. It kills everything it touches, grass included. Spray it on weeds growing through your lawn, and yes, the weeds die. But so does the grass around them. You trade a weed problem for a dead patch problem. Selective herbicide is different. It targets broad-leaved plants, dandelions, clover, daisies, plantain, buttercup, while leaving grass completely unharmed. The reason this works comes down to biology. Grass and broad-leaved plants have fundamentally different internal structures, different growth points, different biochemical pathways. The active ingredient in a good selective lawn herbicide disrupts a process that exists in broad-leaved plants, but not in grass. The grass does not even notice it. This is not magic. This is chemistry doing exactly what it was designed to do. Application is straightforward, but the conditions matter enormously. You want a dry day with little to no wind. No rain in the forecast for at least 24 hours. Rain washes the chemical off the leaves before it can be absorbed. If you have children or pets, keep them off the treated area until it has dried completely. Those are not suggestions. Those are the rules. After application, nothing looks different for the first several days. Then, around the 10-day to 2-week mark, you start to see it. The weeds begin to yellow at the edges. Then, the leaves curl. Then, the whole plant starts to collapse. By 3 weeks, where the clover was, where the dandelions were, there is just empty space, and your grass is already starting to move into it. The one change that stops weeds from coming back here is the final piece of the lawn puzzle, and it is the simplest thing in this entire video. Most people mow their lawn too short. We understand why. Short grass looks neat, looks tidy, looks like a bowling green. But short grass is weak grass. When you cut your lawn below 3 to 4 inches in height, the grass plants are stressed. They put energy into recovery instead of growth. The canopy thins. Light reaches the soil. And seeds need light to germinate. Weed seeds especially. There are millions of weed seeds sitting in your soil right now. They are dormant, waiting for the right conditions. When you mow short and thin your grass canopy, you are essentially turning on the lights for every seed in your lawn. They wake up, they germinate, and within weeks you have a new generation of weeds where you just removed the last one. Raise your mowing height to 3 inches, 3.5, even 4 if your grass variety allows it. At that height, the grass grows dense and thick. The canopy closes over. Light stops reaching the soil. Weed seeds stay dormant. Your lawn becomes its own weed prevention system, naturally, continuously, without any extra work from you. That one change, that single adjustment to your mower, is the difference between fighting weeds every season and watching them quietly give up. So, you have sorted your lawn. You understand the taproot problem. You have the right tool for individual weeds. You know when to bring in selective herbicide, and you have raised your mowing height. Your lawn is on its way to becoming its own defense system. Now turn around. Look at your patio. Because what you are seeing there, those green tufts pushing up between the slabs, that stubborn moss creeping along the edges, those weeds that seem to grow out of solid stone like they have some kind of supernatural ability to defy physics, that is an entirely different war. And if you take everything you just learned about your lawn and apply it here, you are going to make things significantly worse. We have seen it happen more times than we can count. Someone has a beautiful paved patio, gets frustrated with the weeds in the joints, grabs the big bottle of Total Weed Killer from the shed, the strong stuff, the one that promises to kill everything, and starts spraying generously across the slabs. The weeds die, yes, but the spray drifts, it runs off the edges, it soaks into the border soil, and 2 weeks later, there are brown dead patches in the lawn right next to the patio. Patches that take months to recover. Sometimes patches that need to be completely reseeded. One frustrated afternoon of spraying, and you have created a new problem that lasts through the entire growing season. So, before we talk about what to do, let us spend 60 seconds understanding why weeds on paving exist at all. Because once you understand the cause, the solutions make complete sense. Why weeds grow in stone. Your patio slabs, your driveway blocks, your garden path, they look solid, they look impenetrable. But between every slab, every block, every stone, there are joints, gaps. And over time, those gaps fill up with something. Dust, organic debris, dirt blown in by wind, fragments of decomposed leaves, tiny particles of soil carried in by rain. This accumulation happens slowly, invisibly, and relentlessly. Then a weed seed lands in one of those joints. Seeds are extraordinarily light. They travel on wind, on the feet of birds, on the fur of animals passing through. A single dandelion head releases up to 200 seeds, each one equipped with its own miniature parachute, designed by millions of years of evolution to travel as far as possible and land in the most sheltered spot available. A crack between 2 paving slabs is, from a seed's perspective, a perfect home. Shelter from wind. Accumulated organic matter to feed on. Moisture trapped below. The seed germinates. The root goes down between the slabs, following the joint, finding whatever soil exists below. By the time you notice the plant above the surface, the root system below is already established, often deeper and more extensive than the tiny plant above would suggest. This is why simply pulling the visible plant never works on paving. The root stays. The plant regrows. You are back to square one within a week. Now, let us fix it. 3 methods, in order from the simplest to the most satisfying. Method 1. Boiling water. Free, chemical-free, and brutally effective. We are going to start here because this method gets almost no attention, and it absolutely deserves more. Boiling water kills weeds, not warm water, not hot tap water. Boiling. The moment water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, it becomes a surprisingly effective herbicide. When you pour it directly onto a plant, the heat destroys the cell walls throughout the entire plant almost instantly. Stem, leaves, and crucially, the root. The plant does not recover from this. It cannot. The cellular damage is total and immediate. For weeds growing between paving slabs, this is close to a perfect solution. Boil your kettle. Carry it outside, carefully, obviously, and pour a slow, controlled stream directly onto each weed you want to eliminate. Pour enough that the water flows down into the joint and reaches the root. A full kettle handles a surprisingly large area. Within 24 to 48 hours, the plants turn brown and collapse. They are dead. Not dormant, not stressed, dead. And because you targeted the pour precisely into the joints, there is no drift, no runoff, no risk to nearby plants. Free, zero chemicals, zero environmental impact, and it works every single time. The limitation is practical. It is a kettle. You are not treating 100 square meters with a kettle. For smaller patios, for targeted problem areas, for someone who wants to keep their outdoor space completely chemical-free, boiling water is the first thing we would reach for every time. Try it this weekend before you buy anything else. Method 2. The homemade herbicide. That costs almost nothing. For larger areas, or for weeds that have been established for longer, you want something you can spray. And here is a mixture that has been used by gardeners for years, costs almost nothing, and works remarkably well on paved surfaces. 3 ingredients. You almost certainly have all of them in your kitchen right now. White vinegar, table salt, a single drop of washing up liquid. Here is what each one does, and why the combination works so well together. White vinegar is acidic. When it contacts the waxy outer coating on a plant's leaves, the coating that protects the plant from drying out, it breaks it down. It dissolves it. The moment that protective layer is gone, the plant begins to lose moisture rapidly. It cannot stop the process. The vinegar does not need to be absorbed into the plant's system the way a chemical herbicide does. It works on contact, from the outside in. Salt pulls moisture out of plant tissue through a process called osmosis. Add salt to the mix, and you are accelerating the drying effect the vinegar started. Between the two of them, you are attacking the plant's ability to retain water from 2 different directions simultaneously. The plant desiccates, it shrivels, it dies. The washing up liquid is the delivery mechanism. On its own, the vinegar and salt mixture would bead up and roll off the waxy leaf surface before it had time to work properly. The drop of dish soap breaks the surface tension of the liquid, helps the mixture spread across the leaf, and keeps it in contact with the surface long enough to do the job. It is a surfactant, the same principle used in professional agricultural sprays, available for free from under your kitchen sink. Mix these together in a spray bottle. Go out on a warm, dry day. Warmth accelerates the drying effect, and you need at least several hours without rain for the mixture to do its work. Spray directly onto the weeds in your paving joints. Get good coverage on the leaves. Be precise. This mixture is not selective the way lawn herbicide is. It will damage or kill any plant it contacts, including ornamentals in nearby borders. Spray the weed, not the surroundings. There is one more thing you need to know about this mixture, and it is important enough that we are going to say it clearly. Do not use this on your lawn. Do not use it near garden beds where you want plants to grow. The salt changes the chemistry of the soil it contacts. It raises salinity. In a paving joint, where nothing is supposed to grow anyway, that is exactly what you want. You are essentially making the environment hostile to future germination. Between slabs, this is a feature, not a bug. In your soil, it would damage your growing conditions for months. Use it on paving. Keep it away from everywhere else. Method 3. Go physical, and then go nuclear. Sometimes the weed has been there for years. The root has gone down deep between the slabs, worked its way under the base layer, established itself in the substrate below. The vinegar mixture kills what is above the surface, but the root regenerates. The boiling water cannot reach far enough below. In these cases, you need to get physical before anything else will stick. For small to medium areas, a stiff wire brush or a paving knife, a long, flat blade designed to fit into paving joints, is your first step. Work along the joints, breaking up the compacted debris, scraping out the root systems, clearing the channel completely. It is labor-intensive work, but it is not complicated, and the satisfaction of clearing a joint completely, seeing clean lines between your slabs again, is considerable. For larger areas, a full driveway, an extensive patio, a long garden path, a gas-powered weed burner changes the equation entirely. This is a tool that produces a concentrated flame on a long handle, allowing you to walk slowly along your paving and apply direct heat to every weed as you go. The flame kills the plant instantly and completely, destroying the above-ground growth and damaging the root enough to prevent regrowth in most cases. One methodical pass across your paving, and the job is done in a fraction of the time it would take by hand. No chemicals, no spray, no mess to clean up afterward. The dead plant material simply dries out and can be swept away. For anyone with a large paved area who is tired of spending entire weekends on their knees with a scraper, a weed burner is one of the most liberating tools you can own. The step. Everyone skips, and why you cannot afford to. You have cleared the weeds. Your paving looks extraordinary. Clean joints, clear lines, no green tufts anywhere. Now what do most people do? They go inside, make a cup of tea, and wait for everything to come back. Because if you leave those joints empty, open, exposed, full of the same accumulated debris that hosted the last generation of weeds, you are simply preparing the ground for the next generation. Seeds will land. Dust will settle. Moisture will collect. Within one season, you are starting again. The final step is the one that makes everything else permanent, and it takes less than an afternoon. Fill your paving joints with either kiln-dried sand or polymer sand. These are two different products with different levels of permanence. Kiln-dried sand is fine, completely dry sand that you brush across the surface of your paving and work into the joints with a stiff broom. It fills the gaps, removes the loose organic debris that seeds need to establish, and creates a hostile environment for germination. It needs occasional reapplication, particularly after heavy rain, but it dramatically reduces weed establishment for an entire season. Polymer sand goes further. It contains a binding agent that activates when wet. You brush it into the joints exactly the same way, then wet it with a gentle spray from a hose. The polymer activates, the sand hardens, and the joint essentially sets solid. Seeds cannot penetrate it. Organic material cannot accumulate in it. The environment that weeds depend on simply no longer exists. Apply polymer sand on a warm, dry day. Make sure the joints are completely clear and dry before you start. Work it in thoroughly with a broom. Add a second pass to top up, then wet gently and allow to cure fully. The investment of one afternoon's work and the cost of a few bags of sand will save you hours of weeding every single year going forward. What comes next? You have now cleared your lawn of the weeds that were hiding 30 centimeters underground. You have eliminated the colonizers between your paving slabs. You have sealed the joints so new seeds find nothing to hold on to. Your outdoor space is, for the first time in years, genuinely clean. But here is what you might be looking at right now. Bare patches. Thin spots in the lawn where the weeds were thick for so long that the grass never had a chance. Maybe a patch near the fence where the ground was compacted and dry. Maybe a spot where your dog always runs, worn down to bare soil. Those patches do not fix themselves, and they are actually dangerous. Bare soil is the most welcoming environment a weed seed could possibly find. Every bare patch you leave is an open invitation. If you have bare patches in your lawn right now, from removed weeds, from heavy use, from anything at all, drop us a comment below. Tell us where they are, how big they are, what caused them. Because our next video is going to walk you through exactly how to bring those patches back to life. Thick, green, fast-growing grass that closes over completely and leaves no room for anything else to move in. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Your lawn is almost there.